Amigos de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con The Compass and my friend John Duffin. We're going to have an interesting conversation. This program is directed by Danny Ramos and Dylan Di Rosato. Well, John, welcome.
Hey, Fernando. It's great to be here.
Long time no see.
Thank you. Too long.
Long time no see.
Long. Que mil gracias. Thank you for having me.
When we were preparing for this,
Right.
we exchanged some ideas as to the topics that we wanted to discuss. And we will focus on, in a way, on the economy at all levels, but how it is perceived in a different context. The mayor's race, how the Pennsylvania government, that is new, different agenda.
Yep.
National politics, because we know we have a divided Congress and we have,
Between the House and House and
we have
Senate.
everything. And then the international scene, where I think today is the closing of the that meeting in Davos, where all the big money management of the world meets. you know.
Yep.
So the international, what's it called, the monetary fund or whatever.
That's it.
So, but let's begin with the local issue, which is the mayoral race, and we have numbers now.
It's crazy to me to think, because sometimes it's so easy to look outward and you see and follow, if you're me, and I'll only speak for me, like all the noise, so to speak, outward from the national side, and sometimes lose sight of what can be so important, which in this case, I'm a city of Philadelphia resident. So for myself, this is the time. And I guess thankfully, there are some strong candidates that are in play. We have not had, in my mind, a mayor who's been doing anything for the last several years, which has been maddening to me. And I voted for the current mayor 2 different times. So I'm not.
Shame on you.
I have no defense, but the fact of the matter.
The first time I lost money because I was betting that he was going to be a great mayor. So
you lost a lot of money.
I have a friend,
right?
I have a friend who reminds me every day of what I said.
Well, you don't even have to. You just look around, and what you see is what feels like a pause. And a pause is never a good thing as it regards to an unfinished product, which is what, in my mind, is what the city of Philadelphia is. It's an unfinished work of art. So you can look at the skyline, you can look at the new developments here in Kensington, or whether it's in Fishtown, just the ride over, there's a ton of things. And then you see what feels like just a complete drop-off in terms of beautiful condos, yoga studio, which I passed, and then nothing. And that, to me, is the biggest part of the problem, because then safety becomes an issue. The gun violence becomes an issue, and no one's doing anything. So now we've got candidates, and we get this opportunity to really hear them.
Let's see what you're going to do.
And literally, so for myself, it's the opportunity to gauge what specifically are you going to propose. Exactly. You don't have to have all the answers, but I really do believe in a game plan. And for myself, it's like a specific game plan. The 3 things I'm looking for early on: the specific game plan, the ability to process what the residents of Philadelphia are saying, number 2. And then number 3, are you a fighter in the right way? Or are you fighting to get attention? If you're fighting with a real initiative and you can win the fight, well, those are the 3 things that I want to hear.
Well, John, here's the opportunity to speak directly to these people. Are you running for office?
I'm absolutely not running for office because I don't have all the answers. So I have to defer to them. So to me, it's for the candidates. Like for myself, not only am I an Alan Dom fan, I bought my one and only property from Alan Dom. And the reason I'm an Alan Dom fan, I'll go to the simplest and then the most complex, is because his follow-up, his ability to hear me, to listen. This is when I bought the property 26 years ago. It was all Alan speaking to me directly, hearing everything I said, processing it, and coming up with a plan. Alan has created a plan. Allen's, if I'm not mistaken, it's correcting the situation of blight in neighborhoods is the number one initiative. And he doesn't need the stamp of approval from the current city leaders, which I right now don't really have much time for. And so that's my number one. My number two right now in terms of 1-2, and I need more information, but I love the fight in Maria Quinones Sanchez. And she said something very specifically, which I liked a lot. This was an interview a while back. Like neighborhoods like Kensington, like Fishtown, but more Kensington, that the renewal of Kensington is great, provided the residents can live here too.
Yeah.
And just to have expensive condos is not going to solve the situation. So I like the fact, and she's a fighter. So the fact of the matter is, she'll get in, she'll get dirty, she'll get loud. And to me, this is the wake-up call to me that the city needs. So right now, I want to hear more from both of them. I want to hear from all of them, but I want to hear specifics.
Yeah, gentrification is what she was referring to.
Absolutely.
But the word itself is sort of it embodies already a negative connotation.
Sure.
The arrival of the gentry,
Mm-hmm.
Sure. They have the money to buy and they push out the needy people. They push out of the marketplace the people who don't have the means to compete.
Oh, yeah.
And so there we are.
It's a complete, the positive word is transformation. We're going to transform the neighborhood. The negative is by transformation. So I grew up, for instance, right in Northeast Philadelphia. And I lived there for close to 25 years. And I lived right at the intersection of Mayfair and Holmesburg. Well, it was kind of back then a very polarizing neighborhood in the sense that it was everyone lived there, but everybody lived in separate blocks. And so the neighborhoods now are completely different. And to me, transformation is not always a great thing because it's not always inclusive. And that's the part.
Depends what kind of transformation.
Well, it depends. Exactly. And look, I have a real estate license, so I love to see these big, expensive homes and condos here in Kensington. But the fact of the matter is, for any mayoral candidate that's going to literally make change, it cannot be a singular neighborhood. No. It cannot be just Fishtown, Kensington, my neighborhood in Center City, your neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's like it can't be a singular mission.
No, the transformation has to be in a positive way.
Exactly.
In 1935, Adolf Hitler promised the people of Berlin
there's transformation
that the city would look different in 10 years. Well, it did, but not the way.
It's just not what you'd want or anyone. No. You know what I mean?
It was in ruins by then. So, yes, I agree with you. It has to be a positive impact. Mm-hmm. It has to be something that improves the lives of the citizens. Mm-hmm. And that's what we haven't had in this
2 terms
administration. Unbelievable.
2 terms of nothing.
What? The most annoying thing is if you do any kind of driving, going through the potholes in this city. That's unbelievable.
Fernando, I'm biased in that. So I live in a neighborhood that you know well. And so I remember the bias for me was they used to protect that neighborhood in regards to the potholes.
This is
because
Center City
the
district.
Tourism, because of other people coming. It wasn't because I'm privileged. It was simply because, oh, thank you. But I was going to say, I'm lucky. I'm really lucky. But I was going to say that it was protected because you were welcoming tourism. So you didn't have what felt like craters that you were driving over with the car damage that it was. So there's nothing right now that feels like it's working in a city that had made such improvements.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know. Since Rendell, we haven't seen Center City, when he came in. And
it went like it only mattered with Rendell and Police Commissioner John Timoney at the time and that's one of the things that I'm hoping for the next mayoral candidate is there is some cooperation between the police and and local government.
The mayor.
And right now you don't.
And
You have
city hall.
nothing. It's complete and separate entities. And that's, to me, part of the biggest problem is
Yes.
that there's no alignment, no symmetry.
One of the things that was most annoying was to hear the mayor say that he didn't like the job after the shooting. When he saw the victims, he said like he was not happy being mayor. So I said, "Why don't you leave?
I was
Get out of
thinking
here, go home."
no one was begging him to stay.
No,
No one. So I remember that night really well. And
we
my
could have a
cousin-
special election.
So, right, just have any election. So but if you are that despondent, that's okay. Bye. No, I have a cousin who was working that night at the event that was literally holed up in barricades because of the active shooter. And so what my cousin did was stay until it was safe and then went home. What the mayor did, the current mayor, was have a press conference being sad and wishing he was gone. And to me, I'm laughing, but it was outrageous because it's such a key initiative. Tourism highlights the city. Events like Welcome America was walked back in place because it couldn't happen for a couple of years with COVID. The city makes money from these events, and the risk is when you've got active crime and it appears that no one's doing anything, well, then people don't come back.
That's true. Yeah.
The tourism people leave, the residents move to other boroughs.
And this city should be a showpiece for the nation. This is where the country began, practically.
Right. It's so between the history, between the renewal, there was a great progression that was taking place, and it just feels like it almost stopped dead. Now, again, there are singular, isolated highlights that are taking place in terms of renewal, but they are isolated. And just driving over here today in this particular neighborhood, the fact of the matter is you've got incredible beauty, and then complete
you can see the blight right away
between drug use that's still in place blocks from here.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I'm hoping that the mayoral candidate, these are really difficult problems. I am not just throwing these out here to say, why aren't you fixing them? But you have to address them, and you have to address them with specifics. And third, you've got to address them with fight and cooperation.
Well, one of the candidates who was here, Alan Dom, said it's a problem of such complexity, the drug problem. He says we need local, state, and federal government to come in. It's not going to be the mayor alone. So we have seen what happens.
Here's why that's great. You need someone to not only know that, you need someone to actually yell or follow up, that relentless follow-up that I was literally talking about in a personal situation. You need relentless follow-up to make that happen, because you're going to get all kinds of pushback. So why I like Alan so much is he doesn't need the approval. He does get things done. So he will be on that. He will be on that.
That's what he's been saying. He says, I don't talk about it.
I just do it.
Yeah.
He's launched, I think there are only two current, all I've seen so far, two active media campaigns, which is Alan and Jeff Brown, are the first two.
Yeah.
I like them both. I do think, we were talking prior to the show, I do think one cancels the other out. I don't think you get both.
No, right.
And so I would put my money on Alan.
Yeah, that's what I believe too. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's hoping, right?
Somebody's going to benefit.
And hopefully it's the citizens of Philadelphia,
Okay,
not
John,
just a singular person.
We're going to take a brief pause here in Usala Media Network. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de John Duffin. We're discussing the economy in our local, not only local, but national and international. So we'll continue with this topic. No se vayan, regresamos en un momento. Pagano's Market and Bar has been serving gourmet Italian foods in Center City for 3 generations. Call Matthew Pagano for all your catering needs, and during these difficult times, please mention Fernando Mendez and receive a nice discount along with free delivery. Paganos also makes the finest gift boxes in the city for all your holiday needs. Visit paganosmarketandbar.com. Amigos de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en Compass, nuestro programa, con mi amigo John Duffin. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Dani Ramos, and Dylan de Rosato dirigen este programa. Well, John, we were talking about the economy of Philadelphia, the state of Philadelphia, the race for who's going to run the city. We have hopes. We have great hopes.
Have to.
We also have great hopes for the state. So Josh Shapiro has just taken over. And one of the main goals he had is to change the direction of this state. Because, as we know, and that's what probably gave Dr. Ayers an opportunity to run in Pennsylvania. You know, he thought he could go and take over and impose.
That's the word.
Bring
take
MAGA
over. That's the word.
Bring MAGA here full force.
Yep.
Well, he's done. So because guess what?
Thank God for that.
One of the main things that Josh is going to do is a new set of ethical principles.
Correct.
For the state. So he's announcing that today. So we have that as a primicia informativa.
I'm really excited that Josh Shapiro just took office. I'm really excited. I believe he is the perfect candidate. Well, now, like to literally fight, listen, and implement a fantastic team. And that's, to me, the sign of the best leaders, or who's coming to work with you. And Josh Shapiro has aligned a magnificent, to me, team of talent, fighters, innovators,
experienced people
with experience that have proven results. We talked about Rich Negrin as being one of them, but that's one of a large group of people.
Absolutely.
That, to me, every name I'm reading, I'm thinking, this is really exciting because he fights, Josh Shapiro. He fights and he wins. And that's, to me, that's who you want in your corner.
Yes. And I would like to see something like Lincoln with the team of rivals.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
I know what you mean.
What
Right.
the politics are.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't matter that you ran against me. I want you to be on my team. You know, because they're very capable people who competed to run either the city or the state. And we should probably take advantage of that. There's a lot of talent.
There's a lot of available talent. And to me, because the passion is there too. And that's the thing. The people that you're bringing in have actual skin in the game. Pennsylvania residents, people that have seen the success, have seen the failures from a personal, from a business vantage point, from a government vantage point. You just said something that's so on point to me. Look, in private business, it's so easy to just hire, if you're a leader, lackeys that just, yes, your every decision. Right. And then things don't happen. The innovators, the people that I followed later in my broadcast sales career, thank God I followed, were the ones that said, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the best person in the group. I want a team of the best available talent. That's how we're going to get things done, because ultimately the leader benefits. And I think that's going to happen here with Josh Shapiro. That excites me because he's got such a great team. And he's got some guts, and he's not worried if somebody looks good in the process.
He's a great leader. I mean, actually, we're jumping the gun here, but Fernando Trevino and I were talking about this, and we both agree that he is on his way to running for president.
Gotcha.
I believe that. And he just took office here. So
literally yesterday?
Yeah. But I think that
good
2 terms of Josh Shapiro, and he'll be on his way because, that's a hope that he will be an effective governor, and he certainly seems to have his heart in the right place, and the mind to run the state properly. So let's hope.
Exactly.
The fact that Dr. Ayers was thrown out back to. I haven't. Nobody has seen him since then, right?
Nor are you.
If anybody,
I'm going to say you might see him on an infomercial at some point, but I feel like that's as good as it's going to get for
He
him.
might be in Turkey for all we know. Anyway, so
He can run for office there, bring the same credentials of nothing,
leadership.
right?
Well, we're talking about leadership, and that's what is lacking in many ways. On a national level, I don't know what happened to the preachers in the Christian churches. What happened to leadership to them? I just heard a great comparison. Somebody on MSNBC was saying,
Right.
here are the people, and I'm their leader, so I will follow them. It's like the tail running, running the dog.
I find this is what is the most alarming fact to me. So first off, the tail wagging the dog. I'll never forget there was a person, and I believe it was CNN or MSNBC, and I don't remember which, but it was right at the end of the Herschel Walker runoff. Another person that, thank God, we're going to wave goodbye to forever. But what I was going to say is another in the Dr. Oz scheme of just throwing former apprentice guests on as leading offices. So what I was going to say is the person, it was a Republican that was supporting Herschel Walker, and she was being asked, well, look, he's not supporting abortion. You have in the past. He's not supporting this. You have.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, but we're going to vote for him anyway.
Right.
With no further explanation.
No thought about it.
No, because we want the majority, and that's all we wanted.
So
now you've got a clown car that's in place. Candidates that are now on committees, and in some cases multiple committees, with no ethics committee.
Oh, yeah.
Who needs that? I mean, with from a national side. So you've got this clown car, and why I get, and I'm talking about the House. The fact of the matter is you've got the House that just goes in lockstep of whatever crazy, do away with income tax, sure. Put a 30% sales tax on people, sure, because that won't hurt the poor,
I know.
And screaming, hollering crazies. You asked the question, what about the Christian leaders? My answer to you, what happened? They got out-screamed. And the petulant people, by the crazy, petulant people, are now being rewarded.
Yes.
And because I also believe in some aspects of national politics, and I'll put Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker, it has become a complete entertainment-based, who can scream the loudest, who can get the most attention, reality TV.
Yeah. The other thing with this is all around the country.
Right.
The threats on politicians and on any public figure. People who volunteer to run elections. And they also have been so threatened that many of them are not coming back. They're not going to do it.
They're not there for the money.
No.
They're being grossly underpaid. There was a fefeature that was done where they were talking about and this was Alex Walker who was doing the interview, went to a site where they now have glass partitions up. And they had said before, it was like the county seat, so to speak. And it was like, they used to be a case where that was such a public, you just walk in. The files are here, go audit, take a look. They've got glass partitions. Because of the violence and perceived and potential violence, you just can't. So government stops working because of this sort of a clown situation.
Yeah, well, let's hope the whole thing about the debt ceiling.
Right.
I mean, this is also playing politics with the lives of people. We will lose something like 6 million jobs if they don't find a solution. That's
interest rates, stock market, just collapsing on both ends by some singular individuals that like the attention.
Yeah.
And just like 15 votes to get the speaker in, right? So it was 15 votes, and the reason it became frightening when you think that from that to debt ceiling was the cameras all like toward the end were singularly focused
On
on
Gates.
Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. So they're getting exactly what they want, attention.
Yes.
Not solving government problems, not solving debt, it's attention.
Yes.
And that's, to me, is what's terrifying. Something as big as debt ceiling, imagine the attention they will get.
And the main thing
To just sit and do nothing.
the main thing they want to do right now is find fault with Biden's son, Hunter Biden.
Oh, sure.
That's one of the things. And the other
Oh, and
thing
now
is-
we've got Biden's files, so we're going to go attack Biden. We're
Right.
going to go attack his family.
So that's-
that's the plan, and it's just a sense. It's one thing if
unfortunate.
nothing gets done.
Yeah.
We see in Philadelphia, back to like we were talking about the matter of hand, that we see in Philadelphia what happens when nothing gets done. It's
Right.
ugly.
Right.
It's never nothing. Something else takes place, which is ugly and worse. In Philadelphia, it's the crime, it's the blight. On the national side, you can wreck people's lives by sitting on like something as formidable as the debt ceiling.
Yes, and look, we can talk about this on the other side of
Yeah.
a break we'll take soon. But there is a positive aspect to Biden who has been underestimated
Oh.
all throughout his life, basically.
Always.
He accomplished things in the Senate. He was a person who could communicate with both sides, and he accomplished a great deal.
The infrastructure, that's being addressed and solved between Ohio and Kentucky, the bridges that are being built. The fact of the matter is the economy has been pretty damn strong overall. The numbers have been more positive than negative. I credit Biden for all of this.
Yes. I mean, it could serve as a metaphor for his presidency, this
Right.
bridge building. He
Right?
used that.
From all sides, communicating with all sides. It's what we probably desperately need, and the importance of legit listen and communication. Biden embodies it, and that's why things are getting done. The hope that I have is that this continues, number one. Number two, from a state level, like we were talking about, like we're lucky in Pennsylvania that we've got strong governor, senator, House. You've got this cooperative body. That's where I believe things are going to happen.
Right.
I'm going to hope that happens on the local side in Philadelphia too.
Yeah, I would like to see what happens with Fetterman. We have to follow what happens with him
I'm
because
hopeful with John. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely hopeful.
oh, my argument when they were comparing Fetterman to Oz was I said, Dr. Oz is evil and he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Fetterman will be better in a few months. He
Right.
will be able to communicate properly because that's not who he is right now. the way
No,
he
no,
sounds.
it's such a temperature, and I
So-
certainly have no medical knowledge, and I'm not going to pretend like I do, but I will say this. My brother-in-law, when he was alive, was felled by a catastrophic stroke, pardon me, and the initial prognosis was he'd get none, minimal of brain capacity, communicative
Right.
capacity. He had aphasia too, that global aphasia,
Right.
which is what Fetterman has been dealing with.
Yes.
Well, what doctors didn't really see coming, but what did happen is before my brother-in-law passed, he had made massive strides, massive. So as you're saying, this is a temporary situation.
Right.
The deal with Oz wasn't temporary.
No, he will
That's
always be an
permanent.
idiot.
You know what you're getting. It's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
With Fetterman, it's a temporary inability, I'll say, with
communicate.
aphasia, to communicate quickly.
So, John, we're going to stop here and
Yes,
we'll
sir.
continue with this interesting conversation. So, estamos en una conversación con John Duffin sobre la economía local, del Estado. Vamos a hablar sobre la economía mundial. Así que estamos aquí en Usala Media Campus. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Regresamos en un momento. Señores siguientes de Usala Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en nuestro programa Campas, en una conversación con John Duffin, hablando sobre la economía local del Estado, del país, y luego vamos a hablar sobre la economía mundial. Así que es una conversación muy interesante. Vamos a empezar. John, this segment could be entitled Emptying the Clown Car. So,
oh, please, yes. Yeah. Oh, it's the clown car, the final stop.
Right. Because what's happening right now with the national debt, the ceiling, the Republicans were never concerned about the national debt.
Nor will they be. Not this crowd.
Not
this crowd.
No. For the last 5 years or whatever. And now they are concerned because, well, now they have they will attempt to derail what Biden is doing.
This is the whole problem. There are no solutions being provided from them. It's simply a matter of derailment and attention seeking.
Yes, exactly. There are no positive proposals they have.
Zero.
There's no platform.
No.
Because in the last election, they ran without a platform.
Zero. So it's now attack Hunter Biden, attack the Biden family, eliminate income tax, which just in essence gives all of the elite exactly what they wanted, and the people that are trying to scrape by a 30% sales tax that they'll never be able to handle.
Yeah.
It's not a platform. It's attention seeking in the worst way.
And now there are a few states, and they all begin with M.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Massachusetts.
Right. Michigan.
Michigan.
Yep. And I think
Minnesota.
Yep.
They all begin with Maryland.
Yep.
Where there's a trifecta, where the Democrats have taken over the governor, the state legislature, and the attorney general.
Exactly.
And they can do something. And so they are opposed to this crazy agenda by the people in the clown car.
Right.
And if they succeed in their states, that will have a tremendous influence on the rest of the country.
So my thought is, I love that. So my thought is, it's now the opportunity, but for those 4 states in particular, and then we talked about Pennsylvania in the last segment, who has this chance of getting things done, get things done. Because that's where the real momentum comes from. If you have an opportunity and you squander it, or you wait for the second term, or you wait, well, then you got a major problem. Right now, there's a clear opportunity for these states, and I'm terribly excited for it. But now you've got to produce some results.
Yes.
Start stacking like the successes.
Yes.
And
it's good to see some of them. I've seen interviews with the Attorney General of Michigan and the governor, and the people who actually have a plan and have concrete ideas to solve poverty, to solve the drug problem and all that. And why don't we copy some of that stuff?
That's it. Just because there are blueprints already.
We don't have to invent a wheel.
No, that's hard.
Right.
That's really hard. And so my thought is, address it. Take action steps toward it. You do not have to solve the entire. No one's asking, but you need to see progress though. And if they start to stack progressive steps, that's when momentum takes place, and hopefully other states, or more importantly, other states' voters start to pay attention.
That's right.
Look what they're doing there. Look what they're doing in the end state. Wouldn't it be great if we had it here too? That's the hope for me, right?
So now that you mentioned voters,
right,
that's the key. A better informed electorate. That's what we need.
Sure.
My pet peeve is people who vote without knowing anything. They don't know what this person stands for. Who elected this crazy guy?
Forgive my awfulness. Which crazy guy?
Well,
there's a lot.
Gay.
That's it. Thank you.
Gay.
I was like, right?
No. But Santos, right now, who failed to do the proper research on this guy? Opposition research is valid. Every election, you have people doing that. If you're a candidate, you better know that the other people are trying to investigate what your record is.
But the problem
failed?
is that requires work. And so in local elections and statewide elections as well too, the fact of the matter is this is why it's so terribly important. Like you get what you get. They say you get what you pay for. You get what you vote for. So if the fact is, if you're not going actively to pay attention to what's going on, this is how you get a Santos in, which is to me, and he's on committees. So you've got this guy on committees. You don't know what he does. You don't know who he is. But now he is in leadership positions right now to go with the Lauren Boeberts, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes, the George Santoses, where it's like they should be leading nothing, but voters are voting them in.
So these people in the clown car all have access to secret information.
Of
Talking
course.
about classified information, they can request it. They can get this information. So that is already a threat
Yes.
to the body of politics in this country. Why? I don't know. And now there's no ethics committee to
Right. So
keep
like,
watching
they
with
need.
it.
Well, why would they need?
And
it, right?
McCarthy, he won't do anything.
He'll do nothing. Well, that's been demonstrated to me watching those proceedings, and I did watch the proceedings in almost in horror
I did
and
too.
in humor. But it was like a train wreck.
It was
I had to keep
scary.
watching. It was horrific. He reminds me of like he would be your favorite frat buddy. To me, like how he gets things done is just by giggling, laughing, patting backs, and
I'll buy the beers
and I'll buy the
pizza.
beers. I brought the keg. So it's like here's your frat buddy is now leading. And so we talked about debt ceiling, but it's way more than that. It's the classified information. It's people that have influence, which is why going even back to the local elections, why you ask the questions, why you at least have a question. And so the truth is, it's from a local level, from a global level, it does require work. But now it's coming literally right to your backyard.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
You've addressed like things with me, like from a global side that in the past, I sometimes, like, that's shame on me, wasn't paying enough attention to.
All right.
You know? And so it's like, but it matters because ultimately it comes back
Absolutely.
to you specifically.
Yeah.
You know,
When you-
your
when you-
own individual quality of life, your family's quality of life.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now what do you do? You know?
But that's why we should know about that. And, and
absolutely.
people in this country should be aware we don't live in an island that remains untouched by international events. We are dependent on oil. We are dependent on the marketplace, the international
the
marketplace.
energy, like it's not just falling out of the sky.
Right. So we should know that whatever happens in Russia, in Ukraine, in China,
Saudi Arabia,
Saudi Arabia, it affects us. But that's the lack of information that people have. It's like, oh, why is gas so expensive? I'm going to blame the governor or the president or somebody. No.
I'm laughing with you. Now, and why I'm laughing is I'm laughing with, but it's not funny. But it's not, I just heard what you said, and I was like, it's not a lack of information. The information has been coming for decades. It's people taking 5 extra minutes to process the information,
listen.
to not literally tune out. From a federal level right now, I mean, I'm talking House and Senate, like literally from that, and especially the House, where it's like you've got a clown car. Well, the clown car are reality TV stars and failed reality TV stars and game shows. And this is, you're going to get this if you don't do any homework. My thought is this, and I'm part of it. I'm not pointing fingers. I promise you I'm not. Why it matters so much for me is literally, it's like, okay, Google energy, Google image Saudi Arabia, and you can get answers in seconds.
Yes.
You know? And that's the thing. It's like, I'll speak for me. Take the extra 5 minutes because eventually it will wind up in your lap. And then you're going to sit there and think, oh, how did that happen? Well, here's exactly. You know?
if people will follow our show, they will
Right.
know, because we have an individual that comes to us often from Climate Power from Washington.
Sure.
It's a lobbying group.
Yep.
And that we give out all that kind of information about the threats to the environment and all that stuff. But which also, by the way, that's a tremendous part of our economy. The money that we must spend to protect the environment.
Exactly.
And it's one of those budget items that people should be concerned about.
But that's what the good news, from at least selfishly, from a state level, right? So from the team that's being assembled for the state of Pennsylvania that Josh Shapiro is bringing in, like when you go
And
back to
effective
that,
people.
they will pay attention to those sorts of things.
Absolutely.
So it is singular in, like, say, just Pennsylvania, but that's why I'm excited for Pennsylvania, because you've got people in play. Rich Negrin is huge on energy, and it's like, and that's one of the reasons it's so important that
He's a good manager.
He's a great manager. And
John, we're going to take the last break
Sure.
in the segment because we'll come back to this stuff.
Yep.
Señores oyentes de Usala Media Network, estamos en Compass con John Duffin, en una discusión sobre la economía local y mundial. Regresamos en un momento. Amigos de Usala Media Network, estamos aquí en Compass con John Duffin, en una discusión sobre la economía local, nacional y mundial. Ahora vamos a tocar el tema de la economía mundial. Well, John, as I promised, let's talk about this World Economic Forum in Davos. It gathers all the economists from the world.
the best of the best.
And now, one of the things that I heard about this particular forum is how Russia is looking so bad. They sort of, because they thought they had Europe by the cojones, so to speak, no? with gas, saying we're going to threat Europeans, we're going to cut off the supply. Except climate changed, it got warmer, so all that went away.
Exactly.
And Russia is looking bad because of Ukraine. The Ukrainians beat the hell out of the Russian army.
And I'll be the first to say I never saw that coming.
And nobody
I never saw that coming.
Nobody did.
It's magnificent to watch.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
So from our point of view, anyway. And so here we're talking about the world economy. We're talking about how gas prices affect us.
Right.
The price of oil. And Saudi Arabia being one of the main producers, Russia being another big producer of gas and crude oil. And now the price is down to 90, and it probably go down to 60 again.
Yep.
And in spite of that threat, which that's what many Republicans used against Biden, the economy. Except the economy is...
The economy and fuel prices, and they're both working in Biden's favor, which then ultimately works in our favor,
Yeah. So Saudi Arabia is changing their image. Remember how bad it looked on two counts. 9/11.
I think this is long overdue. I think the worst image.
9/11.
Awful. Right.
Nobody remembers 17 terrorists came from there.
Yes.
Osama bin Laden was one of their friends.
And I think of the people that go to Saudi Arabia for whether it was professional reasons. It certainly wasn't for vacation.
No.
But I mean, you were going there for professional reasons.
Right.
Women being literally marginalized.
Right.
They never, to me, had a good image. So it's like,
Yeah. Well,
you think it's time, right?
Yeah, and their leader, Prince bin Salman, is responsible for the death of Khashoggi, the
Correct.
news
And that's
person.
the word, responsible for it.
Yeah,
That's correct.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they're sort of cleaning their image. Apparently in Davos,
Right.
they bought huge displays saying, well, Saudi Arabia, what a great place to for tourism.
Visit Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. But now it is.
Right.
But look, they have Ronaldo, number 1 or 2 in the world.
I'm
in
still
soccer.
number 1 with Cristiano Ronaldo. I right?
For me,
That's
he is one.
big. That's big.
Yeah. And then
Came from
they
Portugal,
wanna
which
try-
is my all-time favorite place, right?
They want to try Mickelson
Right.
for golf and other, no.
Sure.
So they're investing billions in sort of changing their image.
Right.
A country that all of a sudden is also opening for women now working in women in the workforce.
Right.
Women allowed to drive and all that. So it is, I hope it's a substantial change and not just
Cosmetic change?
Cosmetic.
Look, even if it is cosmetic, I think it has to start somewhere. I would rather see, speaking of infrastructure, I'd rather see that be the priority rather than overpaying golfers, or other celebs to come over. But again, it's got to start somewhere. So I'm just grateful to see any steps. When you say just a moment ago, and women are allowed to drive, I almost started to laugh until you
I know.
realize it's true. That it's like, oh, right, that's actually real. And so for me, the whole vantage point is simply this, which is like, take the steps. If more steps are needed to be taken, take it. But I'm glad to see them taking any.
And look, this is probably not, it might be controversial to say,
Right.
But I don't understand why Islam is in any way attractive to women, because from the applications of Islam that you see all around, I don't think that was the intention always of the leadership of Islam, but women have been oppressed under that system.
Exactly.
So,
And to me, until that's resolved,
yeah.
The oppression, until that's resolved, well, then none of those changes matter enough to me.
Well, John, we're almost coming to the end of the show. We haven't changed
man.
the world.
Yeah, but you try, you take a step, right?
We haven't changed the economy. We haven't solved the drug problem. We have to empty that clown car. So, 2024.
Right.
Do you think DeSantis is going to run?
100% yes, I think he's going to run.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I also believe will win the Republican
the nomination? Yes. Now, will he beat Biden?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I really don't think so. There's certain parts about DeSantis that he try as he might, he doesn't have, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, the charisma of the former president. And I am not at all a fan, but he had enough charisma to attract enough crazy people to vote for him.
Yeah.
DeSantis doesn't really have that. He's really good at attention seeking. He's really good at crazy initiatives. But what he doesn't, to me, yet have is the sense of that, like, will this play on a national scale? And I don't think it will yet. And thank God for that. You do not need him entering office. You don't.
I think that shipping immigrants from Texas to New York
Gross.
and Chicago and other,
It's flat out gross.
That's crime. That's a
It's
crime.
absolutely a crime. It's gross. That's attention seeking in the worst order. And as we talked about earlier, that's the best you get from him. Whereas with Biden, quietly leading the economy, building the bridges, literally and figuratively, as we talked about, and making things happen. Prices coming down, the economy getting better, the numbers more formidable, and fighting what you would think are hopeless fights by able to continually build these bridges. You're going to get none of that from DeSantis.
No. So here we go. Let's hope we empty that clown car.
Sooner the better. Final stop, as I'm calling it. Here's your final stop at the clown car.
The end of, I mean, you name some of the people.
Yeah.
Gates, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right, Lauren Boebert.
Right. Ron Boebert. This
Oh,
guy,
it's Santos.
George Santos.
Whoever. If that, I'm going to laugh and say, if that's his real name.
Well, right. But he should be gone
Now.
now. He should be in prison right now.
Now's a good time.
There's a vet who accuses him of having stolen money from him that the vet was going to use for his dog, for an operation for the dog,
Right.
which he lost that money because Santos took
the money.
and the dog died.
And the dog died. So you've got something here.
Where's
right?
the SPCA when you need them?
Right.
Anyway, John, thank you very much for coming on this program.
Gracias, Fernando.
Nothing
It
like
is absolutely an honor. I'm thrilled to be here.
intelligent conversation. So yeah, you're on the hook because now I'm going to be calling you.
That makes me happy. I'm grateful for that. I'm really thanks for allowing me to share with your audience. I'm really
Thank you
really
very much.
grateful.
Señores oyentes de Usala Media, este es el fin de Compass con Fernando Mendez y John Duffy. Dani Ramos y Dylan de Rosato manejaron este programa. Hasta la próxima.